the robos, if I can use them, they are also, obviously they are very well selected people, highly motivated, highly dedicated and cool, very, very cool, not at all excited. And they are also carrying out a very intelligent conversation on the tactics part of it. You see, what is fascinating is, here is tactics being used over thousands of kilometers in a new form to carry out an operation. And let me tell you that these robos are also very intelligent. They also understand military language. You know, the terminology which is being used, that is also military, totally military. And I hats off to those people who have conducted and carried out this operation. Of course, it was bound to fail, which it did, but the kind of preparation which must have gone on to launch such an operation, let me tell you, it is not a question of days or even months. It must have been a very long period, very, very intense training of both the handlers as well as those who are being handled, the robos in these places. So I really very fascinating audio tapes that you have got, and it gives so many ideas to people in the armed forces today.
All right, deep insight and perspective coming from the former chief of the Indian Army Staff, the man who led the Indian Army during the Kargil war and has taken these terrorists on head-on. What we're doing right now is heading into a break. When we come back, chilling excerpts from a conversation when the terrorists were instructed to shoot the hostages in cold blood. We'll bring you those excerpts when we return. Stay with us. Welcome back to this exclusive Headlines Today broadcast. What we are showing you are the voices of terror, the voices of the men responsible for the planning and ruthless execution of the 26/11 attacks. Their voices have been caught on the tapes that Headlines Today is playing out for the first time. Voices that fine-tuned every aspect of the assault, conferring with one another, no different from a real-life military war room. Because make no mistake, the attack on Mumbai was planned down to the last bolt in typical military fashion. The logistics, the execution and the painstaking instructions reek of military expertise. So just how many men were part of this war room of terror? Who were they? We now show you the disturbing military style efficiency with which the handlers molded the assault. Ashish Khaitan reports for Headlines Today.
27 November 2008, 4 minutes past 1 in the morning, the Taj Hotel. The terror attack was centered around Mumbai, but the men in charge watched with rapt attention from across the border, updating themselves by the second on everything that transpired and dealing out instructions finely tuned to what was happening on the ground.
हेलो अस्सलाम वालेकुम। अस्सलाम वालेकुम यार, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਮੀਡੀਆ ਦਾ ਕਮਰਾ ਕਿਉਂ ਦੱਸਿਆ 360 ਨੰਬਰ ਤੇ 361 ਨੰਬਰ ਕਮਰਾ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਦੱਸ ਰਿਹਾ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਕਮਰੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੀ ਹੈ। ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਕੈਮਰੇ ਲੱਗੇ ਨੇ, ਤੇ ਕੈਮਰੇ ਲੱਗੇ ਨਾ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਲਾਈਟਾਂ ਬੰਦ ਕਰ ਦਿਓ, ਸਾਰੇ ਬਟਨ ਆਫ ਕਰ ਦਿਓ, ਕਿਸੇ ਕੈਮਰੇ ਨਾ ਤਾਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਫਾਇਰ ਮਾਰ ਦਿਓ। ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਨੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਵੀ ਖਿਆਲ ਰੱਖੋ ਨਾ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਨਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਐਕਸਪੋਜ਼ ਕਰਾਉਂਦੀਆਂ ਨਾ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਹੋ, ਕਿੱਥੇ ਹੋ, ਕਿਸ ਹਾਲਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋ, ਸਾਰੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਸਿਕਿਉਰਿਟੀ ਬਾਹਰ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਸਮਝ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀ ਆ, ਕੋਈ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਕੈਮਰਾ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਤੇ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਨਹੀਂ। ਕਿਉਂ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਕਿਉਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦਾ? ਕੈਮਰੇ ਲੱਗੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕੀ ਲੱਗਿਆ? ਲਾਈਟਾਂ ਲੱਗੀਆਂ ਨਾ, ਲਾਈਟਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਹੋਰ ਕੀ ਲੱਗਿਆ? ਮਸਲਾਂ ਲਾਈਟਾਂ ਲੱਗੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦਾ ਬਟਨ ਹੈ।
An officer from the Mumbai Police arrived at the hotel's security camera room to get a fix on the location of the terrorists. It soon became clear that the terrorists were in room 632 on the 6th floor. The terror masterminds in Pakistan somehow got the impression that the game was up, and that's why they handed down the order for the hotel to be set ablaze.
कंप्यूटर ने हर साइड दे पे साडे ना एडे वड्डे कंप्यूटर ने 22-30 इंच दे। हां वो कंप्यूटर ही दस रहे जलाया नहीं अग बस उन्होंने क्यों नहीं लांदे हुन बस अग लाने लगे इंशाल्लाह देखो ती थोड़ी देर बाद ना एक नजर आवे ना इसे आगे छोले उठ देता है वो ना दो भाई गए ना पर एक कमरा खोलने वास्ते ना परली नुकर च। हां
ਸਮੁੰਦਰ ਵਾਲੀ ਸਾਈਡ ਤੇ ਉਧਰ ਉਹ ਕਮਰਾ ਖੋਲ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਨਾ ਫਿਰ ਇਸ ਕਮਰੇ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਅੱਗ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਉਧਰ ਆਨੇ ਆ
ਅੱਛਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੇਰਾ ਵੀਰ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਲਾ ਦੇਵੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲੇਟ ਨਾ ਕਰੋ ਅੱਗ ਲਾਉਣ ਤੇ
ਉਹ ਫਿਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਨਾ ਇੱਕ ਹੀ ਕਮਰਾ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਅੱਗ ਲਾ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਤਾਂ ਆਪੀ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਜਾਵਾਂਗੇ
ਅੱਛਾ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਰ ਨੂੰ ਸਹੀ ਮੰਜ਼ਲ ਤੋਂ
ਹਾਂ
ਉਹ ਤੇ ਗਲੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਾਲੀਨ ਸੀਨ ਪੈ ਪਰਦੇ ਛੜਦੇ ਪੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਕੱਢ ਕੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਅੱਗ ਲਾਉਣੀ ਸੀ ਪਰਲੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ
ਆਹੋ ਉਹੀ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਭਾਈ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਲਾਣੇ ਆ ਨਾ
ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਲੇਟ ਹੋ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਵੀਰ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗ੍ਰਨੇਡ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਸੁੱਟਿਆ ਥੱਲੇ ਗ੍ਰਨੇਡ ਸੁੱਟਣਾ ਥੱਲੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਮੁੰਦਰ ਵਾਲੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਬੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਸੀ ਗ੍ਰਨੇਡ ਸੁੱਟਣ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਗ੍ਰਨੇਡਾਂ ਸੁੱਟਣ ਦਾ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਕੇਸ ਲੱਗਦਾ
ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਦੋ ਬੰਦੇ
ਥੱਲੇ ਸੜਕ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਖੜੀਆਂ ਖੱਟੀਆਂ ਹਾਂ
ਉਹ ਦੋਵਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਭੇਜ ਰਿਹਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਦੱਸ ਕੇ ਭੇਜ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਸਮੁੰਦਰ ਵਾਲੀ ਸਾਈਡ ਤੇ ਸੁੱਟੋ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੁੱਟਦੇ ਨੇ ਸੁੱਟਦੇ ਹੀ ਫਿਰ ਐਵੇਂ ਵਾਪਸ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰਦੇ
ਗ੍ਰਨੇਡ ਸੁੱਟਣਾ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਕੰਮ ਯਾਰ ਕੋਈ ਗ੍ਰਨੇਡ ਉਹਦੇ ਪਿੰਨ ਕੁਛ ਥੱਲੇ ਸੁੱਟ ਦਿਓ
ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਡੱਬਾ ਆਇਆ ਉਹਦੀ ਵਜ੍ਹਾ ਤੋਂ ਪੂਰੇ ਹੋਟਲ 'ਚ ਧੂਆਂ ਹੀ ਧੂਆਂ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ
ਚਲੋ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਧੂਆਂ ਯਾਰ ਮੇਰਾ ਵੀਰ ਕੋਈ ਪਰੇਸ਼ਾਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਤੋਂ ਬਸ ਉਹਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਜੋ ਹੋਣਾ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਕੁਝ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਧੂਆਂ ਖਤਮ ਹੋ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਥੋੜੀ ਦੇਰ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਕੰਮ ਜਾਰੀ ਰੱਖੋ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਅੱਲਾਹ ਪਿੰਡ ਦਾ ਖਿਆਲ ਫੋਨ ਅਟੈਂਡ ਕਰਨਾ ਜਿਸੇ ਫੋਨ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰੀਏ ਹਾਂ ਅੱਗ ਵਾਲੇ ਕੰਮ ਤੋਂ ਲੇਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨੀ
ਬਸ ਹੁਣ ਅੱਗ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਏਗੀ ਇਨਸ਼ਾਅੱਲਾ ਬਾਹਰ ਯਾਰ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅੱਗ ਚਲਾਓ
Notice the disturbing minute details dealt down by the handlers. They even kept a check on how many grenades had been used. The terror handlers in Pakistan basked in the warm glow of the Taj fire. The very purpose of the plot had been accomplished, to set fire to the very heart of Mumbai and watch it burn. Ashish Khaitan, Headlines Today.
So there you saw the terrorists being given moment-by-moment instructions about what to do. General VP Malik is with us. General Malik, from the conversations that we've just played out, what is the sense that you get about the level of training of the terrorists? Because there are several aspects of these operations which they weren't aware of, and they had to be guided and prodded by their handlers in Karachi.
Such operations, the way that this is being conducted, obviously the trainer as well as the trainee, they must have been together for a very long time. They obviously understand each and every word that the other person is saying, and so that gives an impression that they've trained together for a long time. Now there are very precise instructions coming. कहाँ आग लगाओ, कैसे लगाओ, grenade फेंको, उससे क्या होगा. And I find there is no, what is fascinating is that there is no excitement. Obviously it has been planned so well and by selected people who are participating. I mean, there is absolutely so much of cool-headedness, which is what is quite fascinating, because in such operations I find there is a certain amount of excitement, there is shouting, there is also there is a lot of noise which comes from all over the place. But here, I mean, there is just no such disturbance, no excitement, very precise instructions, tactically very, very sound. I think probably my instructor in the Indian Military Academy, or when I did the junior command course, he was not as precise with his words and with his instructions as I find these instructions being given. And
that's a very, very pertinent point you're making, General Malik. That shows the level of training and the expertise of the handlers. Clearly no ordinary terrorists. They weren't country bumpkins from somewhere in Pakistan. These were very well-trained officers of the Pakistani army. General Shiv is also with us. Shiv, there are moments in the conversation when the terrorists are actually having a good time. At the end of the conversation with the handler, he cribs to his fellow terrorists saying, they're putting pressure on me, let's quickly set this place on fire, otherwise he's going to come back and holler at us. There are other places where he says, well, I can't go into the other room because if I go over there, we'll fire at each other. So they're actually laughing at the end of that conversation. For them, it really seems like business as usual.
I think as a result of this absolute deluge of inputs that they're getting from across the border in Pakistan from their handlers, Rahul, the terrorists are actually, like you very rightly said, in a certain comfort zone. They have the knowledge that there is advice from across the border and that they will never be at a loss for what really to do next. They may be in a dangerous situation, they may be holed up in a room, but like you said, it's still business as usual. They're still talking about Coca-Cola, they're still talking about whether to share food with the hostages, they're still talking about whether to move out, put up a foam mattress near the door. It's very matter of fact, and like General Malik said as well, it's simply so cool-headed, it's disturbing.
Alright, what we've shown our viewers is just one small part of the 7-hour-long tape recordings that we actually have. So far, you've seen the terrorists brace up for the assault. What really happens when the army begins to close in? Those conversations coming up when we return. Stay with us on the tape recordings of the 26/11 attacks.